If I could only think of how to cut you away, I wouldn't be so frightened or scared to be enlightened. It's kind of difficult to keep my mind on a day that I didn't really mind it. It's in my face, I'll find it. The fields of colors bleeding and it's so far from home. The thoughts keep coming forward, I wish I wasn't so bored. Does it really matter if I'm dying alone? I often try to fake it, what's in my face I'll take it. I'm trying not to break it, the timing it was so right. The heaviness is so light, no more or less is coming. The substance stand for something, you keep speaking easy, you really do believe me. Please tell me where you're going. I hope my fear is showing, 'cause I'll never ever see you again. If I could have the heart to take a knife to my skin, I'd carve your name for comfort, a feeling there of some sort. It's spend a small eternity tormenting within, so hard to keep it inside. My mouth waits for the surprise, staring out my window at a bird on the line. I wish I could
Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
I am the devil. I am the Lord Satan from the netherworld, ruler of the damned and eternal king of hell. Even I, the master of deceit, can only stomach so much bullshit from the mainstream media and indie grifters. That's why I tune in to Morning Extra with Uncle Warren, because he eliminates my competition, and also because I know I'm gonna see that motherfucker soon.
Deo, Deo.
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Corrosion to her thighs, erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter, baby's got corrosion now, corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Greetings and salutations. I look a little close. Sorry. You guys hear me okay? It's Freaky Friday. You know, when I was in school, in I think it was junior high, they'd have pizzas, but they were shaped like octagons or maybe stop signs. So, and it was like a psychological thing to get you ready for Friday, because if you knew those octagon pizzas were there. Octagon pizzas. I'm sure that means something else in the sex world, so we're not going to go there. Before I get to anything, though, you know, folks, even I have a price. Usually it's $2.50 and a bucket of chicken, but I've decided to throw my hat into the sponsorship realm, and I have a brand new sponsor that I'm going to make oodles and oodles of money off of if you buy it. So without further ado, let's get to it. Who is this? It's Desperation Blend Coffee, and I myself haven't tried it because my doctor advised me against ingesting toxic chemicals. But nonetheless, I like money. So here we go. Desperation Blend Extra Dark Roast Ground Coffee. Grown in a lab in the Nevada desert, its earthy notes and hints of uranium-235 will have you primed for a class action lawsuit in no time. Are you looking for a rich ground bag of disappointment? I know you are. Can't find enough dumb shit to piss your money away on? Then grab a bag of desperation. Hee. I want some. Where is it? Oh, there you are. Desperation Blend Extra Dark Roast Ground Coffee, found online and at most crime scenes. All right, we did the bit. did the thing. I did the little. Hey, boys, listen, I can't keep selling this sweet, sweet ass on the streets for much longer. Just kidding. I wouldn't sell out. There was, I don't know. That seems like, I like to follow the trends, so anyway. Let's get to who's here, if there's anybody still here after that. I know some people like, ooh. I don't know. I know the writing was poor. It was a poorly written thing. So I'm sorry. I'll try to get better with these. We're trying to put a little spice. We're trying to put a little spice in the monkey, if you know what I mean. CBC voter, good to see you. Kate, good to see you too. Mikhail's here. What's up, buddy? Chuck's Intergalactic UFO show Intergalactic. Another dimension. And Max, this is not live stream. No, this is Memorex stream, brother. This ain't live. This is Memorex. Anybody else sneak in here before then? I'm sure others may end up in here. Again, we won't be streaming on Rockfin for much longer. In fact, not tomorrow, but next Saturday's secret show will be the last show we stream live on Rockfin, and then we just close up shop there. It just becomes a warehouse full of things that we couldn't keep in the house. We didn't have room for. So, because now they're doing this premium shit where you have to be a premium member to watch videos on there. And as Hall & Oates said, I can't go for that. No can do. So if it's not free, then there's no reason to pay for it, especially when you can watch it on other places like Rumble, YouTube, and what is that? Oh, Facebook. I was thinking about dipping my toes back into Odyssey and seeing what kind of a ghost town it is over there. I haven't messed with Odyssey in, oh my God, so long. Desperation. Woo. It hits you right here. It's called heartburn. It's Friday. How's everybody doing? Like I said, I'm a little baked. I'm a little scattered. So hopefully I don't say the same shit 3 times, because then that'll make this an even longer show. And God knows you don't want that. You're here. I know you're here because your parole officer said this is some form of community service. So, nonetheless, I still appreciate the effort. You could have chosen picking up trash on the side of the road, but instead, you came here to Mornin Extra, and we appreciate you for that. So, and we appreciate your parole officer as well. Tell him we said hi. We're sending donuts as we speak. All right. Okay, so, did I get all the announcements, all the silly stuff out of the way first? Okay. Because, of course, we got bad news. It's always bad news. And I don't put this bad news in any particular order. I kind of like to group stuff that's kind of, geographically relevant to one another, Easy transitions into this nonsense. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We got, of course, it's your old buddies Israel. You know that old children's tale from the sea. Israeli fire kills 71 more Gazans, including many trying to get food aid. Israeli army fire killed at least 71 more Palestinians in the Gaza Strip yesterday, including several people trying to get humanitarian aid, according to medics there. Oh, those medics obviously are Hamas. They got to be Hamas, right? That's the thing. A medical source said that 16 people were killed and dozens injured by Israeli gunfire while waiting for food near an aid distribution point in the Netzarim corridor in central Gaza. The source said 14 other people were killed when an Israeli strike hit a home near the Al-Amari Mosque in Jabalia in northern Gaza. A drone strike on a mobile phone charging station. Yeah, a mobile phone charging station. Son of a bitch. Near a displacement tent killed 15 more Palestinians, including women and children, in the Shati refugee camp, another source said. In western Gaza City's Tel Al-Hawa neighborhood, 5 people were killed and 25 injured in an Israeli strike on an internet distribution point. Another Israeli strike killed 1 Palestinian and injured several people in the Al-Mukhabarat neighborhood in northwestern Gaza City, according to medics. Another civilian was killed in another attack on a mobile phone charging tent in western Gaza City, a medic source said. 5 more Palestinians were also killed in a drone strike on a group of people in the same city. An Israeli helicopter strike on an apartment in central Gaza killed 3 people and wounded others, according to a medical source. The bodies of 5 more Palestinians were recovered from the rubble in the Zaytun neighborhood in southern Gaza City following an Israeli airstrike in the southern Gaza Strip. At least 6 people were killed and 20 wounded when Israeli forces targeted a crowd waiting for humanitarian aid near a distribution center between Khan Yunis and Rafah yesterday morning. According to the Gaza Government Medical Office, 300 aid seekers have been killed, 2,649 injured by Israeli army fire near distribution points in just a matter of a few weeks since May 27th. Rejecting international calls for a ceasefire, the Israeli army has pursued a brutal offensive against Gaza since October of 2023, getting up to 56,000 Palestinians murdered, most of them women and children. And then you know about the arrest warrants. ICC, ICJ, but I don't see justice. I wish we did. What else we got here? More happy news? Okay. So, in the... I can't believe you're actually saying this news. Talking about the continuing war between Israel and Iran. So this is... where is this from? The Defense Post. So a lot of times I get like the military stuff from the Defense Post where it talks about what their, what weapons we're selling, who we're selling them to, that kind of thing. Because they're usually just right out there. So yeah, we'll tell you what it is. But this is more of a reporting angle. So I'm a little interested to see how their take is on this. Israeli hospital, Tel Aviv area struck after Iranian missile attack. A hospital in southern Israel and 2 towns near Tel Aviv were struck after a barrage of Iranian missiles on Thursday morning, with rescuers reporting at least 47 people injured in the latest attacks. Now remember, all the Iron Dome equipment they have those stationed in civilian areas in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and that's on purpose, because if you attack those, then you're attacking civilians, because they use their own people as human shields. So asshole McFuckface warned that Iran would pay a heavy price. Everybody has to pay a heavy price after the strike on Soroka Hospital in Beersheba in southern Israel, while Defense Minister Israel Katz said the army had been ordered to intensify strikes on Iran. This morning, Iran's terrorist dictators fired missiles at Soroka Hospital and at civilians in the center of the country, where we keep all our weapons to shoot at people and shoot down people's shit. We will make the tyrants in Tehran pay a heavy price, Bibi said after eating a nice ham and cheese sandwich. A spokesperson for the hospital reported damage to the hospital and extensive damage in various areas. We're currently assessing the damage, including injuries. We ask the public not to come to the hospital at this time. Also, there are no Hamas tunnels under here. Stop shooting at us. Oh, wait, this is Israel. They wouldn't say that. AFP footage showed smoke billowing from the complex, which serves populations in southern Israel, but is also known to treat soldiers wounded in Gaza. Buildings were also damaged in the central towns of Ramat Gan and Holon, close to coastal hub Tel Aviv, which has been repeatedly targeted by Iranian missiles since war broke out between the countries last Friday. Oh, yeah, 1 week anniversary. Happy anniversary to death and murder and, blowing up shit. Israel's Megan David Adam, is known as MDA to those in the rap scene. Rescue services said that at least 47 people were injured in Iran's latest missile strikes, with 18 more injured while running to shelter. 3 people are in serious condition, 2 are in moderate condition, an MDA spokesperson said in a statement. An additional 42 people sustained minor injuries from shrapnel and blast trauma, and 18 civilians were injured while running to shelter, the spokesperson added. Defense Minister Katz, meanwhile, said in a statement, "These are some of the most serious war crimes." There you go. This is what I wanted to show you. This motherfucker talking about war crimes. Well, he would know. He would know if they're war crimes because he's done a lot. And Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei will be held accountable for his actions. I love the projection of the war crimes. That's chef's kiss. The Prime Minister and I have ordered the military to intensify strikes against strategic targets in Iran and against the power infrastructure in Tehran, in order to eliminate the threats to the state of Israel and to shake the Ayatollah's regime. Basically trying to do regime change, wants the U.S. To help out with that. Hey, buddy, can you do a little regime change over here? Get your boys. You know what you're doing. You know. Sirens sounded across Israel early yesterday as the military said it detected incoming missiles from Iran. And AFP journalists reported hearing loud blasts in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. A military official said that dozens of ballistic missiles had been launched at Israel. The explosions heard by AFP journalists in Jerusalem around 7:10 a.m. local time, when air defenses activated, were the loudest since the conflict with Iran began last week. Sirens sounded in Tel Aviv in the morning, while an all-clear message was given around half an hour after the first one. So, so obviously Iran blew up this hospital, and of course they admitted it. Wait, they said what? No, that they did it. Iran rejects Israel's false claim of targeting a hospital. They probably said, well, we hit it, we didn't target it. But we'll see. Getting ahead. John, what's up? Good morning, John. Happy Friday to you. Octagon pizzas for everyone in the chat, if you can hold me to it. Iran categorically, let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's start right here. The Islamic Republic of Iran's mission to the UN's categorically reject the Zionist regime's false claim about targeting a hospital. Iran categorically rejects the Islamic Republic of, this is their official response. The Islamic Republic of Iran's mission to the UN stated that the self-defense measures by Iran are precise and fully in line with international law and only target facilities that have directly participated in or supported the Zionist regime's illegal aggression. Iran's mission to the United Nations said that unlike the Israeli extremists, Iran is committed to and adheres to international humanitarian law, IHL, and does not target civilians and civilian infrastructures. And then there's hugs and kisses down at the bottom there of the thing. So, who do you believe, right? But that's the thing. They put these places, these vital, like, military components and pieces and people in residential areas. I'd be scared too living in Israel if you put your shit right next door to my place. Honey, let's go to the park. Oh, look, a missile defense system. That's probably not going to get blown up. Trump warns Tehran but forgets to warn Tel Aviv. I know, right? Yeah, so I think Bibi waited for Trump to get back in office so he can do all this clown shit. I really do. They're talking to the U.S. About bunker busters, right? Israel wants their bunker busters because Iran's got a lot of shit underground. But it's funny because Israel's shelters, their concrete shelters, are pretty much shit. Israel's concrete shelters ineffective against Iranian strikes, according to reports there. This ain't Gaza for once. This is Tel Aviv. Let's see what we got here. All right. So concrete shelters installed in northern Israel during Israel's military operation in Gaza are ineffective in protecting against Iranian ballistic missile attacks. Al Mayadeen reported on Thursday, citing Israeli media. So they admit it themselves. Yes, it's not good. The shelters positioned across northern regions are now being criticized as unsafe, the report says. Israeli mayors raised the alarm as exposed shelters in the north were deemed unsafe against Iranian missiles. And these are just regular ass people that don't, they're just like, eating their local propaganda just like we do here. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 reality rains down on their asses. It cited the Israeli Yedioth Ahronoth newspaper as having reported that according to the Israeli Home Front Command, these exposed concrete structures initially deployed to shield against rocket fire, quote, do not provide effective protection against long-range missiles from Iran due to the deadly pressure waves they produce. So local missiles they could probably deal with, but these, rockets from hell coming at you at like 20,000 miles an hour, whatever the fuck it is, not so much. The command now advises Israelis to use fortified rooms known as mamads. Mama D's. I'm going to call them Mama D's instead. You need to use these Mama D's. D's nuts. So it's known as Mama D's, or enclosed public shelters with steel doors, warning that open shelters can become deadly traps even if the missile does not fall directly nearby, Al-Bayadeen said. Despite this, Yedioth Ahronoth reported that no official directives have been issued to close these exposed shelters, prompting confusion and growing discontent among settlers and local officials, according to Al Mayadeen. In Acre, Mayor Amichai Ben Shalush reportedly began shuttering shelters in older neighborhoods where alternative protection is unavailable. Videos shared online showing the closures, Al Mayadeen noted, were reportedly the first time some municipal leaders learned of the situation. Michael Kamsa, head of the Hatzor Haglilit Council, I don't know, I'm butchering these names. I'd butcher them even if I wasn't stoned, accused the military of serious negligence, noting that the structures intended to save lives have effectively turned into death traps. Yeah. Right? Additionally, the mayors of several northern municipalities have criticized the Home Front Command for withholding official closure instructions despite acknowledging the shelter's limitations. Al Mayadeen further reported that the Israeli army issued a statement clarifying that the use of such shelters requires direct authorization from the Home Front Command. Bureaucracy. Israeli don't even spare their own, according to According to the Israel Hayom newspaper, citing eyewitnesses in Tel Aviv, we have no shelters, and our neighbors are closing the doors of their shelters to us. Ooh. Ooh. If no other options are available, residents may enter exposed shelters, but are warned not to stand near the opening and to close the door if there is one, the report added. Close the door if you got one. If you don't have a door to close, well, you probably shouldn't be in there. As tensions escalate in the region, concerns are mounting that northern settlers are being left exposed to growing threats without adequate protection or clear instructions from military leadership, the report said. In other words, they're figuring out a little teaspoon of what it's like to get the shit scared out of you in Gaza by the IDF. That's a little morsel, a little taste, just a little piece, not nearly enough. A little woo, watch out. As tensions escalate in the region, concerns are mounting that northern settlers are being left exposed to growing threats without adequate protection or clear instructions. Okay, according to the Anadolu news agency, Israel began installing dozens of fabricated bomb shelters across Tel Aviv and central sites earlier this week as Iranian missile strikes continued to target the capital. So they got some prefabs right there. Man, that ain't going to stop no hypersonic missile. That looks like just like a well-fortified shitter. This from Geo News. In some cities in central Israel, Arbel-type concrete shelters have begun to be installed in places where there are not enough shelters. You know what? That just looks like coffins. Like, if it gets hit, you dead, and then now they got your coffin. Kind of, sort of. A little too dark for Friday morning. Citing the public broadcaster Khan, Anadolu reported that Israel's defense ministry and the Army's Homefront Command began placing new Arbel-type shelters, reinforced closed units with heavy doors near schools, and public buildings in areas lacking adequate protection. See, so instead of changing your ways and trying to get peace, just give them these little shitty shelters. These shelters are designed to withstand shrapnel and blast waves and offer stronger defense than previously installed open shelters, especially in the event of ballistic missile attacks. The next phase of the project will expand Israel's coastal plain and the Kiryat area near Haifa in the north, the report added. The estimated cost of the shelter deployment stands at $14.2 million. The rollout follows mounting public frustration as many residents in central Israel, particularly in Tel Aviv, have voiced concerns about insufficient access to safe shelters, the report noted. You're getting the shit scared out of it. This is like a for real. They're like, oh shit, we can't just laugh and, paint up our faces and black out our teeth and make fun of the Palestinians. We're running for our lives right now. Stephanie's back in class today. What's up? What's up, Steph? Good to see you. On Sunday, Israel Hayom Daily reported that thousands of people were stranded outdoors during missile alerts and were denied entry to existing shelters, according to Anadolu. Israeli residents accused the government of abandoning them, saying they were left without real protection during escalating hostilities. The escalation between Israel and Iran began on dawn on Friday when Israel, with tacit support from the U.S., launched Operation Rising Lion. Operation Rising Lion. It's lying. Lion. A large-scale aerial assault on Iranian nuclear facilities, missile bases, and key personnel. That evening, Iran responded with True Promise 3, the search for Spock, launching dozens of ballistic missiles and drones at Israeli cities, killing at least 13 and injuring hundreds, according to Israeli sources. And President Pezeshkian has warned that if Israel attacks again, and keep going, Iran's response would become more decisive and severe, as we're seeing. Also, if you have a third movie trilogy title to go along with that, I'm all about it. Mystery! What's going on? I wonder if those shelters are as good as ours. Oh, wait. Le Cricket. Yeah, I know. They look like little, like, you know, if one of those things hits square, those things aren't gonna, they're going to go teats up. I'm telling you, they're just coffins. They're not designed to protect people. They're designed to collect people once they get blowed up, because they don't give a shit about their own people either. At least not the Zio babies, the Z boys. What we got here? What's next? So, as we told you last week, after the attack, that pretty sure that Iran knew that U.S. was being naughty boys and girls. You're just so naughty. You know you're involved. So they told, your talks about nuclear shit, you can eat all the dicks. Iran says no negotiations under fire amid EU diplomatic push and U.S. outreach. He's like, you fucked around, my friend. Today is find out day. Also, it is Octagon Pizza Day. Yes, it is callback. I can't do an Iranian accent. I apologize to any Iranian people watching who, for some reason, still want to watch this. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is set to hold talks with his European counterparts in Geneva on Friday, local media said. According to the state agency IRNA, Araghchi will meet with the foreign ministers of the UK, France, and Germany, along with EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas, not to be confused with Kaja Gugu from the 80s, to shy to shy, hush hush, I do I, to shy to shy, hush hush, I do I. The Anadolu News Agency reported. Araghchi reportedly said the meeting will be held at the request of European foreign ministers. He goes, no, hey, hello, yes, no way, Jose. Okay, is that, yes. The Guardian reported that it would be the first face-to-face diplomatic meeting since Israel, with tacit support from the U.S. on Friday, launched Operation Rising Lion. We told you about that. Focus of Friday's talks would be on how Iran is willing to reduce or close its nuclear program, according to The Guardian. In a social media post late on Wednesday, Araghchi stated that Iran solely acts in self-defense and was committed to diplomacy. Even in the face of the most outrageous aggression against our people, Iran has so far only retaliated against the Israeli regime and not those who are aiding and abetting them. Wink, 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 wink. That means USA. I don't want to say it was those people, but it rhymes with blue vests. Yay. Just like Netanyahu manufactured this war to destroy diplomacy, the world should be highly alarmed about increasing attempts by the failing Israeli regime to get others to bail it out and to expand the flames to the region and beyond, he added. The foreign minister said Iran has proven in action what it has always publicly committed to itself to. We have never sought and will never seek nuclear weapons. Don't think we haven't thought about it, but we're not going to do it. Steve Wolfbrand, what's up, Steve Wolfbrand? Good to see you. He stated that with the exception of the illegitimate, genocidal, and occupying Israeli regime, we remain committed to diplomacy. Meanwhile, the Reuters news agency reported on Thursday that Araghchi and U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff has spoken by phone several times since Israel launched its attack on Iran last week. Citing 3 diplomats, the report stated that the discussions were aimed at reaching a diplomatic resolution to the conflict. God, these bloodthirsty Iranians that just want to come here and just diplomacy stuff. This is a cut. They use the top of his head. That's funny. U.S. Envoy Witkoff and Iran's Foreign Minister Araghchi spoke by phone several times since Israel began the strikes. According to Reuters, citing 3 diplomats, Araghchi said Tehran will return to negotiations only when Israel ends the bombing. Araghchi, however, is reported as having said that Tehran would not return to negotiations, as we said, unless Israel stops its attacks. The diplomats also said the talk. Yeah, because it's like, let's come to the table. Oh, yeah, Israel, yeah, you can keep bombing, that's fine. But come on, Iran, why would you come to the table? What's wrong, man? They're still bombing us. I know, but you know they're just going to bomb anyway. Come to the table. Maybe they won't bomb you as much. The diplomats also said the talks included a brief discussion of a U.S. proposal given to Iran at the end of May that aims to create a regional consortium that would enrich uranium outside of Iran and offer an offer Tehran has so far rejected, according to Reuters. Araghchi has told Witkoff that Iran was ready to come back to nuclear talks, but it could not if Israel continued its bombing, quoting common sense, a diplomat said. Another source to Tehran reportedly also said that Araghchi was clear that his government could show flexibility in the nuclear issue if the U.S. pressured Israel to end the war, the report noted, to which Trumpy said, Daddy? Because that's his daddy, apparently. I got this camera set up a little different, so it looks like I'm like all up in here, and I'm really not trying to get up in your business. So I apologize if like this whole face thing. I'll fix the camera for next time. It'll be a little further back. It's a tech thing. I got nothing. So everybody's scared of what's happening in Israel and Iran. So they're like, these governments are saying, y'all need to get fuck out of here. Governments scrambled to evacuate their citizens from Israel and Iran. One moment here. So governments around the world are attempting to evacuate thousands of their nationals caught up in the rapidly spiraling Israel-Iran conflict, organizing buses and planes, and in some cases, birds and snakes, assisting people crossing borders on foot. Lenny Bruce is not afraid. Foreigners have rushed to leave both countries as Israel launched an unprecedented bombing campaign last Friday, targeting Iran's nuclear and military facilities along with a whole bunch of their civilians, sparking retaliation from Tehran. But with Israel's airspace closed and the two countries exchanging heavy missile fire, many people are being evacuated from third countries. Europe. Let's check in with all the people running for their lives. In Europe, European countries have already repatriated hundreds of their citizens from Israel. The Czech Republic, remember, we're no cash, no card. And Slovakia said Tuesday they had taken 181 people home on government planes. It was not possible to send the army plane straight to Israel, the Czech Defense Ministry said in a statement, citing the airspace closure. The evacuees were taken to an airport in a neighboring country by buses. They crossed the border on foot. Yeah, look at this, man. It's like people going to Comic-Con, man. The German government said flights were scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday via Jordan, while Poland said the first of its citizens were due to arrive back on Wednesday. Greece said it had repatriated 105 of its citizens, plus a number of foreign nationals via Egypt, while a private plane with 148 people landed in the Bulgarian capital, Sofia, on Tuesday. Sophia Loren, oof, smoke show, delightful, utterly delicious, as the cow said. In the U.S., these cowards, the U.S. Embassy to the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, I think that's Huckabee, on Wednesday announced plans for evacuating Americans by air and sea. Yeah, that's Huckabee. The embassy is working on evacuation flights and cruise ships departures for American citizens wanting to leave Israel. Ambassador Mike Huckabee posted on social media. You know, you got to wonder if Mike old Mike, he was doing like some sort of like sleep aid commercials or some shit before this. And, he's got to be thinking, it's a whole lot safer doing these sleep aid commercials than knowing that Israel or that Iran's trying to kill me. I definitely go back to those sleep aid commercials, dude. Meanwhile, down under, throw a shrimp on the Barbie as Australia started evacuating around 1,500 citizens from Iran and more than 1,200 from Israel. But missile barrages have made it too risky for civilian aircraft to land in either country, its foreign minister said. There's no capacity for people to get civilian aircraft in. It is too risky, and the airspace is closed, Foreign Minister Penny Wong told national broadcaster ABC, that's the Australian broadcasting company. We've taken the opportunity to get a small group of Australians out of Israel through a land border crossing. We're seeking to try and do more of that over the next 24 hours. Pakistan has shut its border crossings with neighboring Iran, except to Pakistanis wanting to return. Around 1,000 Pakistanis have fled so far, including at least 200 students. The foreign ministry said the families of diplomats and some non-essential staff from Iran had been evacuated. India, around 110 students who fled Iran over the land border with Armenia have landed in New Delhi. A foreign ministry spokesperson said yesterday there are around 10,000 Indian citizens in Iran. In Israel, there are around 30,000 Indians because they're crazy, according to the country's embassy in New Delhi. We got a Kiwi country, New Zealand, as it's closed its embassy in Iran, evacuating 2 staff members and their family to Azerbaijan by land. If and when opportunities arise to assist the departure of other New Zealanders in Iran and Israel, we will pursue them with urgency, Foreign Minister Winston Peters said in a statement Thursday, and then had a bite out of a delicious kiwi and said, do right. In Japan has ordered military planes to be on standby for around 1,000 Japanese nationals believed to live in Israel, and around 280 in Iran, according to government ministers. The Japanese embassies in Iran and Israel are preparing to use buses to evacuate citizens to neighboring countries, a government spokesman said, as the war entered its 7th day. Leonard Bernstein, it's the end of the world as we know it. Indonesia is preparing to evacuate around 380 of its citizens currently in Iran by land. Jakarta's foreign minister said yesterday flights are no longer possible, so the only way is land route. It will start tonight, Foreign Minister Sugiono, who, like many Indonesians, goes by one name, said in a video. Yeah, like Spock and Charo and Whoopi Goldberg. The Philippines is preparing to repatriate 28 Israel-bound Filipino workers out of 178 who asked for help. The Department of Migrant Workers Secretary Hans Kakdak said Thursday. That's his name. I'm not... At least 21 Philippine government officials have also crossed into Jordan by land from Israel since the conflict began, the foreign ministry said. So everybody, the lights have been turned on and the roaches are scattering everywhere. Get out of my house! So this is some real deal shit, y'all. This is some, people start going, getting the hell out of these countries. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Israel knows they're going to get fucked up. Bibi's not even there. He's still in Greece, right? Him and his cartel, his entourage, aren't they in Greece hiding out somewhere? Fucking Greece. Those pussies. Not the Greek people, the government. It's always the government when I say Greece or if I say a country. The people, they're just, if there's good people, and then you get your brainwashed people. They can be fixed. So Iran's going after going for some legal action here. Is that they around to pursue legal action against the IAEA chief's inaction over Israeli aggression. Because the IAEA sucks. The head of Iran's atomic agency, Mohammad Islami, has vowed to take up the case of International Atomic Energy Agency chief Rafael Grossi's inaction over the Israeli aggression against Iran's nuclear sites through legal channels. In a letter to Grossi on Thursday, Islami, who heads the the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, the AEOI, sometimes Y, in a letter to Grossi on Thursday, Islami, who heads the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, addressed the issue of their lack of action. He said the Israeli regime's attacks on Iranian nuclear sites constitute a clear violation of Geneva Convention and related protocols, UN Charter, and United Nations Scientific Committee on the Works of Atomic Weapons, Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the Comprehensive Non-Proliferation Agreement between Iran and the UN agency, the safety standards of the UN agency, other relevant international conventions, and a whole bunch of words that they left out, but they said, fuck it, we don't want to be assholes. He urged an immediate end to the UN nuclear agency's inaction by condemning the Israeli regime's blatant violation of international conventions related to peaceful nuclear activities. Islami hastened to add that the Islamic Republic of Iran is taking necessary measures to defend its rights and will pursue legal actions against the IAEA chief in connection with his inaction over the Israeli regime's aggression against those nuclear sites in Iran. In a separate statement on Thursday, Kazem Garibabadi damn, I can't believe I got that out. Iran's deputy foreign minister for legal affairs said the role of Grossi in the Israeli aggression against the Islamic Republic will be raised with the UN Security Council. He said the UN nuclear agency chief has refrained from condemning the Israeli regime despite repeated attacks on Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities, which shows he has become a pawn in the hands of the Israeli regime and the U.S. Probably not a shock there. Earlier on Thursday, in a statement, Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai also lashed out at Grossi for betraying the non-proliferation regime. Baghai said the Director General of the IAEA had turned the UN agency into an accomplice in Israel's unjust and invasive war on Iran. You have turned the agency into a tool in the hands of the parties that are not committed to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, so they can violate the rights that the committed parties enjoy under Article 4 of the treaty, the spokesperson stressed. Former Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif also took to the tweeters to slam Grossi's irresponsible and fallacious IAEA report, which he said caused irreparable damage to the agency. He must be held accountable for his complicity in the death of innocents in Iran caused by Israeli aggression, using his report as a pretext. Days before the regime launched its aggression, IAEA released a politically motivated report falsely accusing Iran of non-compliance. This is where they found those little scraps of uranium, whatever, and they say, see, which was followed by a resolution against the country at the IAEA Board of Governors meeting in Vienna, pushed by the European countries and endorsed by the United States and Satan himself. The report and the subsequent resolution, according to analysts, facilitated the Israeli regime's brutal aggression last Friday, leading to the assassination of many nuclear scientists as well as high-ranking military commanders. IAEA is a crap bought and paid for organization. So you can't even believe that them, right? And they kind of showed their ass in the Gulf War. Well, the Iraq War, I should say. The test tubes. Oh no, it was like the aluminum tubes that they needed. Wesley, what's up, Wesley? Good to see you. Good morning, sir. Yeah, And yeah, because eventually they'll find him in Greece, but they'll give him a heads up and get him out before then. They'll find him in with his mistress Ava Braun in his bunker, playing Go Fish or Uno or something. So, see, I don't know. I mean, I'm one of these action, not words kind of guys. So I'm seeing these actions that Iran's doing. They're trying to do all this peaceful, diplomacy and using the courts and stuff. And meanwhile, Israel's bombing and blowing up children. And, and the U.S. is like, buddy Christ. So speaking of their foreign minister, Iran has thwarted an Israeli plot to assassinate Araghchi. He's like, next time you bring kryptonite. Iranian intelligence services have reportedly foiled a major Israeli plot to assassinate Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in Tehran. According to an Iranian government advisor, Mohammed Hossein Rangbaran, a senior official and advisor to the foreign ministry, confirmed that the conspiracy was neutralized by what he described as precise security measures. Describing the attempt as a large conspiracy, Rangbaran credited Iran's intelligence community, referred to as our unknown soldiers, for preventing what could have been a serious act of aggression in recent days. This comes as Araghchi prepares to participate in crucial Geneva talks with the European Troika. Troika! Germany, France, and the UK, amid growing tensions between Iran and the Israeli occupation. In a post on the tweeters, Rangbaran directly linked the assassination attempt to Araghchi's diplomatic engagement, implying that the Israeli regime sought to undermine Iran's position through covert violence. Rangbaran emphasized that the threat was real and serious, reflecting the high-stakes nature of the current regional crisis and the symbolic significance of Araghchi's diplomatic role. In his remarks, Rangbaran portrayed Araghchi not only as a seasoned diplomat, but as a committed servant of the Islamic Republic. He noted that the foreign minister does not view himself merely as a diplomat, but rather as a soldier in service to his homeland, drawing a symbolic parallel to the late Quds Force commander, martyr General Qassem Soleimani. Rangbaran stated that Araghchi seeks martyrdom on the same path. He concluded by urging Iranians to support Araghchi and his colleagues in their ongoing efforts to defend Iran's sovereignty and rights on the global stage. They, and this goes back to like the beeper things too, that was all Mossad, and now they like I said, they managed to get a cache of documents from Israel about their nuclear programs and some of their defense systems. They blew up the 8200 building, I think, too. So they're under Israel's bullshit. I don't think it'll be hard for them to get taken advantage of again. But you never know. There's some sneaky devils there. So people forget that Iran has next to them and control basically a lot of the world's economy through the Strait of Hormuz, right? So you have, like you say, you have Iran. Let's say you have Iran over here, and like my thumb is the Strait of Hormuz, and you got the shit going there. And you block that off, you do a lot of damage to the world economy. Or at least slow it down a great deal. So, and that's what they're worried about now. Segue. As a Strait of Hormuz closure in event of a U.S. aggression against Iran to paralyze the world economy. As regional tensions escalate amid the Israeli regime's brutal aggression against the Islamic Republic, The possibility of the closure of Strait of Hormuz is a possibility, according to experts. So the possibility is a possibility, according to experts. Experts said that. Apparently, I hope they didn't write this. The likelihood of the ongoing war imposed on Iran extending to the sea has increased after Trumpy indulged in warmongering rhetoric against the Islamic Republic. So basically, Trump talked shit about Iran. Iran said, oh yeah, Strait of Hormuz, your mom. Trump, under the pressure of the powerful Zionist lobby in Washington. I love this. This is, was this Press TV news? They're like, Trump under the pressure. You should say under the control of the powerful Zionist lobby in Washington has dropped hints of directly intervening in the Israeli war against Iran, ignoring the counsel of his advisors. Yeah, and he said something about he's going to make his decision within the next couple of weeks or something. Okay. Strategic expert speaking to Press TV website said the direct American military intervention will prove costly for the U.S. and the Trump administration. Ayatollah Khamenei, in a video message on Wednesday, categorically warned against American military intervention. Those with wisdom who truly understand Iran, its people, and its long history never speak to this nation with the language of threats. Iran will not yield. Can you imagine Trump saying something that eloquent like that? You know, Trump's like, oh yeah, well, you know, I cut you down so low, you need a top hat. Whatever. The Americans must understand any U.S. military incursion will undoubtedly lead to irreversible consequences. And they'd have to bomb Iran, because if they try to do a ground insurgent, it'd be just like Afghanistan. There's too many fucking mountains. It would be like trying to invade like Tennessee or the Rocky Mountains. Those mountain peoples would pick you off one by one. Experts believe one of the repercussions of U.S. military adventurism against the Islamic Republic would be the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran controls. Oopsie sauce. Y'all forgot about that shit, Captain Capitalist. According to Tanker Tracker's data, more than 80% of oil passes through this narrow strip, and if it's closed, the global economy and energy sector will be dealt a heavy blow. Giggity. Most multinational corporations around the world would shut down within days as energy supplies necessary to keep them running would run out. Many countries, including those in the Persian Gulf region, would suffer enormously in terms of their GDP, including Qatar and Saudi Arabia, experts warn, as liquid petroleum gas exports would be halted. Europe will have to deal with the new wave of energy crisis, more crippling and devastating than anything they've seen before, said one expert, including the 3 European countries that backed the anti-Iran resolution at the UN Nuclear Agency's Board of Governors meeting. Comes around, goes around. The steep rise in energy prices would force the shutdown of major industries in the United Kingdom, Germany, France, and other European countries. The U.S., which has threatened to take military action against Iran on behalf of its bitch in the West Asian region, the Zionist regime, will also be affected severely, experts warn. Trump don't care. We're going to suffer before it gets better. It's like, all right. The gasoline prices in the country would rise, forcing the closure of many industries that contribute to the American economy and make millions of people jobless. According to some forecasts, oil prices are likely to jump 80% in the very first week if the Strait of Hormuz is closed, as alternative routes would incur heavy costs. So the wisdom lies in the U.S. staying away from this war for its own benefit and that of its allies, said one expert. Let the Zionist regime face the consequences of its terrorism. Yeah, that's the thing. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't get involved, then you piss off your side piece, Israel, thinking that you're trying to get back with your old lady, you know. And if you do help them, you're going to shut down the world economy. Choose pill. Yeah, so see, people forget about stuff, strategic shit like that. And the Houthis too, they'll shut down that shit too. They've been doing it. They ain't fucking around either. These mofos. This is bullshit. Sorry. No. This, I don't know. I think Russia kind of knows a little something about like radiation and like, like Chernobyl type stuff, since it was right next door there in Ukraine. So now they're saying Russia says strike on Iran's Bushehr plant may lead to catastrophe comparable to Chernobyl. Chernobyl, that was back in the 80s. There was a meltdown. They had to cap it, and all the surrounding areas like fucked up for like 1,000 years or some shit. I don't know. Little history lesson that's kind of just severely nutshelled there. Russia said yesterday that a potential strike on the Bushehr nuclear power plant in Iran may lead to a catastrophe comparable to that witnessed during the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. If a strike is carried out on the operating first power unit of the Bushehr nuclear power plant, it will be a catastrophe comparable to Chernobyl, Alexei Likachev, the head of Russia's state atomic energy corporation, Rosatom, told reporters on the sidelines of the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, according to state news agency RIA. His remarks refer to the explosion at the fourth reactor of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in 1986, situated 16 kilometers from the city of Pripyat, in the north of what was then the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, or the USSR. Back in the U.S., back in the U.S., back in the USSR. The incident is considered to be the world's worst nuclear disaster. Stressing that such a strike would be beyond the line between good and evil, Likachev said that Rosatom is monitoring the situation at the plant, including the safety of Russian specialists stationed there. He further said that there had been no physical destruction of enrichment plants in Iran to date, and that no radiation emissions have been recorded following strikes on Tehran's nuclear facilities. As far as we know about the structure of enrichment plants that were hit, including in Natanz, strikes of such power could not have physically damaged the underground workshops, Likachev went on to say. He also said that dozens of Russian specialists stationed at the plant have been evacuated from the country via Azerbaijan and Armenia. For now, we consider it possible to leave our workers at Bushehr. We're ready for any scenario, including the rapid evacuation of all our workers, he added. Regional tension has escalated since Friday after Israel launched coordinated airstrikes. They started bombing Iran, basically, including military and nuclear facilities, prompting Tehran to launch retaliatory strikes. And then 24 people have been killed and hundreds injured in Iranian missile attacks since Friday in Israel. Let's see, and so Russian President Vladimir Putin told executives of international media agencies in St. Petersburg early Thursday that there are currently 250 Russian personnel at the plant. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is what they're trying to do, is to not only to destroy these plants, but to start little mini Chernobyls there. Because they're pretty fucking sick in the head. Good morning, everybody. Hey, Choosy. Good morning, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Okay, we're kind of humming along here in more ways than one. What do we have next? On The Price is Right. So, like I said earlier, they're talking about getting these bunker busters from the U.S. to use on Iran. But there's been a delay, and the delay is that U.S. strike on Iran is delayed by the bunker buster uncertainty. You know, if I was trying to put my faith in planes, I sure as fuck couldn't do it. All these doors falling off and then falling out of the sky. In a political bombshell, oh, I see what you did there. I think this is Al Mayadeen. You characters. In a political bombshell, President Trump, despite escalating threats to strike Iran, has privately voiced doubts about the very weapon meant to do it. According to The Guardian, a rift has emerged inside the White House and, scandal, and Pentagon over the effectiveness of the GBU-57 bunker buster bomb, casting uncertainty over plans to target Iran's fortified Fordow nuclear facility. I think he's stalling. I don't think he wants to bomb Iran. And now he's like, yeah, these bunker busters, they'll work. Trump has withheld authorization, questioning whether the 30,000-pound ordnance can penetrate the deeply buried site. Giggity, to penetrate. Insiders report that Trump has made it clear any strike would only be accepted if the U.S. could be absolutely certain that the bomb would obliterate the Fordow enrichment site in its entirety, as per the report. There we go. Here comes the choosy manifesto. It would not be a one and done, said retired Major General Randy Manner, former deputy director of the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, the DTRA, and he was also a former bass player for Styx back in their 1992 tour. Fordow could be quickly rebuilt. It might set the program back 6 months to a year. It sounds good for TV, but it's not real, Manner told The Guardian. Despite assurances from the defense officials that the GBU-57 might collapse tunnels or disable parts of the site, Trump remains unconvinced and has withheld approval for now. The Guardian reported, citing sources familiar with the discussions, that he is also weighing whether the mere threat of U.S. direct attacks could bring Tehran back to the negotiating table. I don't think that's going to happen. The Fordow facility, buried deep inside a mountain and reportedly fortified up to 300 feet underground, presents a daunting challenge, as per the piece. While the 30,000-pound GBU-57 is reportedly designed to penetrate hardened, giggity, underground targets, the Pentagon has long debated its true capabilities against a site like Fordow. Defense officials familiar with the DTRA assessments acknowledge that even multiple bunker busters might only bury segments of the facility or disrupt operations temporarily, falling short of complete destruction. It would not be a one-and-done, Manner repeated, adding that the weapon might slow Iran's progress but would not prevent eventual reconstruction. The DTRA, which has tested the GBU-57 and evaluated its performance, reportedly concluded that permanently disabling Fordow without the use of nuclear weapons would be extremely difficult. Holy shit. That's a backhanded threat. Yeah, you're really not going to do any damage unless you pop it with a couple of nukes. Yeah. Though some defense experts believe only a tactical nuclear strike could fully neutralize Fordow, White House officials allege that Trump is not considering such an option. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane have not presented any nuclear scenarios during briefings. Not yet. Even with conventional force, the odds are uncertain, the report said. Defense analysts note that achieving the required precision would demand full U.S. air superiority, suppression of GPS jamming, and exact intelligence on Fordow's internal layout. The bomb has never been tested in a real-world mission targeting such a deeply buried and reinforced facility. Bella, Bella, Bella. You hear no one talks to Hag's breath anymore. Hag's breath. Hag's breath. Hello, good sir. My partner in crime. Israel, which has publicly threatened to act unilaterally against Iran's nuclear programs and has done so already, lacks both the delivery systems and the ordnance needed to strike Fordow. While Israeli war planners have reportedly floated more unconventional options, including a commando infiltration, get to the chopper, and internal sabotage plan, Trump has already dismissed that proposal, according to The Guardian. citing sources. The Guardian claims that Trump's caution reflects growing awareness of the strategic risks. One official familiar with Pentagon briefings emphasized that Fort House deep fortification presents significant challenges, especially given that the GBU-57 has never faced a real-world target of this magnitude. It's inside a mountain. It's a mountain. As one senior defense official explained, even with a B-2 stealth bomber, success is far from guaranteed. Despite growing pressure from within Israel and some U.S. hawks, neither the Pentagon nor the White House has made any official comment, but behind closed doors, the debate underscores the limits of conventional military power and the high stakes of miscalculating the consequences of escalation. So, yeah, they're like, bunker busters, sure, but actual bunkers, no. We could blow up a hospital with it if you want. You guys like doing that, right? The penetration must be ass-est. Giggity, 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 giggity. Bullwinkle does cheesy preteen pop. I can't sing those songs anymore without my lawyer present. That trick never works. All right, sorry. I like old references for the old people in the chat. That's all for you. It's all for you, Damien. Kieran, what's up? What is up? Hello. Pissed off. Fuck it. What is it? Empire Chimps and Simps. Nice. Pissed off pussy. Is that pussy? Did I censor you? You can put actual, you can curse in here. We don't care. Meanwhile, they're moving people out, and the U.S. is like, oh, these fuckers ain't kidding. As the U.S. moves military assets, speaking of assets there, Wesley, oh, you said assessed. U.S. moves military assets, limits access to its largest Middle East base. Dun, dun, dun. Fraidy cats. The U.S. military has moved some aircraft and ships from bases in the Middle East that may be vulnerable to any potential Iranian attack, two U.S. officials told Reuters on Wednesday. The move comes as Trumpy kept the world guessing whether the U.S. would join Israel's bombardment of Iran's nuclear and missile sites as residents fled its capital on the sixth day of the air assault. Separately, the U.S. Embassy in Qatar issued an alert on Thursday, temporarily restricting its personnel from accessing the Al Udeid Air Base, the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East, located in the desert outside of Doha. The embassy told personnel and U.S. citizens in Qatar to step up vigilance in an abundance of caution and in light of ongoing regional hostilities. The two U.S. officials who spoke on condition of anonymity said the move of aircraft and ships was part of plans to protect U.S. forces, but declined to say how many had been moved and where to. One of the officials said aircraft that were not in hardened shelters had been moved from the Al Udeid base, and naval vessels had been moved from a port in Bahrain, where the military's Fifth Fleet is located. It's not an uncommon practice, the official added. Force protection is the priority. I don't know if he said it like that. We're just doing it today. Reuters was first to report this week the movement of a large number of tanker aircraft to Europe and other military assets to the Middle East, including the deployment of more fighter jets. An aircraft carrier in the Indo-Pacific is also heading to the Middle East. Israel launched an air war on Friday, as we told you. That thing. Iran has conveyed to Washington that it will respond firmly, to the U.S. if the latter becomes directly involved. So Iran saying, stay out of our business, boy. Else you're going to get these hands. You're going to catch them. Like I'm going to throw them, and you're going to catch them. That's what Iran said. And they should. But the U.S. is like, we like getting into wars. It's kind of like our thing. So back here at home, you think that there'd be like Israelis dancing on rooftops while a couple of towers that have no business collapsing in their own footprint do so. And a third building that wasn't even struck by a plane. Wait, what? U.S. Jewish groups refuse to back Israel's defensive actions against Iran. This is in New York. Yeah, this is protesters rally at Bryant Park and march to Israel's UN mission in Times Square to denounce Israel's military campaign against Iran in New York. This was a couple days ago now. A number of progressive Jewish organizations have refused to endorse a joint statement by the Conference of Presidents of Major Jewish Organizations, COP. COP. That's funny. That expressed support for Israel's unprovoked attack on Iran and offered praise to Trumpy. The refusal signals growing ideological divisions within American Jewish leadership on questions of militarism, diplomacy, and the role of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. According to Haaretz, while nearly 50 national groups signed the COP's statement, several high-profile organizations, including the National Council of Jewish Women, HIAS, formerly Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, and the New Jewish Narrative Coalition, withheld their endorsement. The New Jewish Narrative is a recently formed alliance between Americans for Peace Now and Aminu, a group historically linked to Israel's Labor Party, AMEINU. The COP, that's funny, which brands itself as a consensus-based umbrella group representing the American Jewish community across the political spectrum, had drafted the statement as a show of unified support for Israel's escalation against Iran, framed as defensive actions against nuclear and military infrastructure. Those nuclear plants were going to hit us with lasers and shit. However, internal disagreements over the framing of the statement, particularly its hawkish tone and explicit praise for Trump, proved too divisive for many progressive members. The actions taken by Trumpy and his administration during this crisis help protect civilian lives, bolster deterrence, and reinforce Israel's ability to confront one of the most serious threats it has ever faced, the COP statement read. It went on to demand international action against Iran, accusing the country of incitement of anti-Semitism, fostering terrorism, and a declared intent to wipe Israel off the map, to which Iran responded. And your point, except for the anti-Semitism part in this segment. Notably, the rabbinical body of the Reform Movement, the Central Conference of American Rabbis, also declined to sign, despite the statement's endorsement by the Union of Reformed Judaism. Hadar Suskin, president of the New Jewish Narrative, explained his organization's refusal, saying, quote, "We disagree with much of what was included. Where we do agree is that Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. It's okay for psychopaths in Israel to have them, but whatever. But a military strike can at best delay that, and more likely it will not only build support for hardliners in Iran. Diplomacy, not bombs, is what has proven successful." The development comes amid a broader reckoning with Jewish communities in the U.S., many of whom are increasingly disillusioned with Israel's far-right government and its conduct in Gaza, Lebanon, and now Iran. So some of them are starting to kind of wake up a little bit. CJ, what's up? Good to see you, CJ. Hope you're doing well, friend. Where are we at here? Meanwhile, South Africa is getting hit with these floods. They declared national disaster as flooding death toll rises to 92 down there. South Africa was under a declared state of national disaster yesterday as the death toll from floods caused by severe rains in the Eastern Cape region rose to 92. The Eastern Cape government honored the victims of last week's floods with a provincial day of mourning and a memorial service at King Sabbatha Dalindyebo Technical and Vocational Education and Training College. They really need to shorten these titles. TVET College in Mathatha, one of the few schools whose infrastructure remained intact. Speaking at the public memorial service, Zolil Williams, a member of the Executive Council, said the people of the coastal province have not been the same since the disaster hit, and many are now faced with the challenging task of rebuilding. Since June 9th, this province has been hit hard by unprecedented, catastrophic, and unimaginable disasters where, in the whole of the province, about 92 people have perished, said Williams. Since that day, the Eastern Cape has not been the same. It is the first time we have experienced so many dead bodies, some of whom have not yet been found. An extreme weather front brought heavy rain, strong winds, and snow to parts of the province, causing flooding in one of South Africa's poorest provinces last week, leaving dozens dead and roads, houses, schools, and other infrastructure damaged. At least 2 school children who were washed away in a bus are among the unverified number of missing persons, according to local media reports, while thousands have since been displaced. Authorities have appealed for residents to report missing people so rescuers could better understand how many people they were still looking for. Religious leaders from different Christian religions were among the hundreds of mourners who attended the memorial ceremony, lighting candles as a symbolic expression of remembering the 92 people who died in the floods. In a government notice on Wednesday, Elias Sithal, I really had to be careful with this name. I had to be careful. If you know, you know. Elias Sithole, director of the National Disaster Management Center, said severe weather had caused property damage and the disruption of vital services in the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, the Western Cape, and the Free State, which prompted South Africa to declare a national state of disaster. The declaration allows the government to release funding for relief and rehabilitation and will remain in place until it lapses or until somebody steals out of the fund, as most of these things usually happen, or until the conditions can no longer be categorized as such and is revoked by the head of the center. President Cyril Ramaphosa recently visited the town of Mthatha in Eastern Cape province, where the floods hit hardest. Many of the Eastern Cape flood victims lived on floodplains close to rivers. Government officials said poor neighborhoods with informal dwellings were most severely impacted. Authorities have been criticized for the rescue response, but also for the state of the infrastructure in the area in the first place. And that's what happens with austerity and poor and corruption. Kind of good stuff. All the stuff you come to expect and love from these countries like that. You know, we was telling you about, I guess on Tuesday, about China and their new weapon against, I guess it was F-35s, like fucking up their radar. Well, India's got some sort of fucking Tesla laser shit. India eyes homegrown directed energy weapons to boost anti-drone defense. So here we go. India plans to acquire locally made directed energy weapons. What are they going to get it down at the corner store? Hello, my friend. You need matches today? No, I'm fine. Here you go. Oh, you need a straw. You need a straw. No, I didn't buy a drink. Oh, you need directed energy weapons. I have some in the back. Oh, yeah. Let me pick up a couple of those. So they plan to acquire locally made directed energy weapons to expand the Defense Force's counter unmanned aerial systems, the CUAS capabilities. Drone. The decision is driven by experiences from the country's recent clashes with its neighbor Pakistan, which began in April after an attack in Indian-administered Kashmir killed 26 people. High-powered lasers are actually becoming corner store hardware now, believe it or not. I know, right? You get a cat laser there for sure. Fuck around. Those cats go for that laser every time too. Even when they know it's stupid, they still go for it. The selected tool for this effort is a 10 kilowatt system designed by the Indian Defense Research and Development Organization and manufactured by Mumbai-based defense contractor Larson and Tubro, who I saw at the Civic Center with special guest Crocus, and it was a hell of a show. The device projects electromagnetic waves to destroy UAS up to 2 kilometers or 1.2 miles away. It's an upgrade over the company's base 4 kilowatt version that had already seen action as part of a larger air defense grid to deter Pakistani drones targeting military and civilian infrastructure. A report from Indian local news agency, the Hindu Business Line, said that a call for tenders to supply the 10 kilowatt weapon will be announced next month. Sources familiar with the future acquisition told the outlet that the government will base the sales orders on upcoming changes during New Delhi's operations against Islamabad in Pakistan. India is also open to collaborating with more industry teams to accelerate production of the capability's mobile configuration, which can be installed on a 4x4 vehicle. Come on down here to New Delhi. We got all these damn directed energy weapons just for you. Come on down here. Express your Second Amendment rights. Get these directed energy weapons before the government does. Once procured, the devices will be distributed to the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force. India's latest move to reinforce its air defense follows earlier anti-drone initiatives that align with its commitment to modernize combat systems while strengthening indigenous defense manufacturing. In April, the South Asian country completed a test of a 30 kilowatt laser beam system against autonomous systems, larger aircraft, and missiles. The platform was evaluated under extreme conditions, neutralizing a moving airborne target at a 3.5 kilometer range or 2.1 miles. Imagine what it could do to a whole ham. In March 2024, the Indian Army fielded C-UAS systems developed with spoofing, jamming, and anti-signal features to disrupt control and communications between enemies and their UAS. These devices were stationed along India's border with China, each providing coverage of up to 5 kilometers. That's about a little over 3 miles of range, and 800 meters, or about half a mile of elevation. So war is getting deadly, and it's getting more technological. It's becoming, I don't know if you're going to see boots on the ground that much if they get these robots working, right? What else we got here? Yeah, it's going to be robot wars for the most part. Speaking of India, talking about that plane crash, right? Let's do an update on that. As a regulator warned Air India after flights with unchecked emergency gear. Government documents. Yeah, I know, right? Fog of war takes a whole new meaning. Sure does. India's aviation regulator has warned Air India for breaching safety rules after 3 of its Airbus planes flew despite being overdue for checks on emergency equipment and for being slow to address the issue, government documents show. The warning notices and an investigation report, both reviewed by Reuters, were not in any way related to last week's crash of an Air India Boeing 787-8 plane that killed all but one of the 242 people on board and were sent days before that incident. It's kind of more foreshadowing it, I guess. In the report, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation said spot checks in May on 3 Air India Airbus planes found that they were operated despite mandatory inspections being overdue on the critical emergency equipment of escape slides. See, critical emergency equipment, that's... You don't need to check that. It's just critical emergency equipment. Jeez, man, what am I, made of money? That's what the company says. In one case, the watchdog found that the inspection of an Airbus A320 jet was delayed by more than a month before being carried out on May 15th. AirNav radar data showed that during the delay, the plane flew to international destinations such as Dubai, Riyadh, and Jeddah. Going to Jeddah in a fucked up plane. Another case involving an Airbus A319 used on domestic routes showed checks were over 3 months late, while a third showed an inspection was 2 days late. That's kind of like bread, you know. You get the expiration date. If it's a couple of days past, as long as there's no shit growing on it, you should be fine. Same with planes. The above cases indicate that aircraft were operated with expired or unverified emergency equipment, which is a violation of standard airworthiness and safety requirements, the DGCA report said. Air India failed to submit timely compliance responses to deficiencies raised by the DGCA, further evidencing weak procedural control and oversight, it added. Air India, which was taken over by the Tata Group, in 2022 from the government, said in a statement that it was accelerating verification of all maintenance records, including dates of the escape slides, and would complete the process in the coming days. In one of the cases, Air India said the issue came to light when an engineer from AI Engineering Services, quote, inadvertently deployed an escape slide during maintenance. Oops! The DGCA and Airbus did not respond to Reuters' queries. They were running and hiding in a corner somewhere, wishing the world would go away. Checks on escape slides are a very serious issue in case of accident. If they don't open, it can lead to serious injuries, said Vibhuti Singh, a former legal expert at the government's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, or ANIS. No, wait, that's not ANIS. Aircraft, that's AIB. The DGCA said in its report that the certificates of airworthiness for aircraft that miss mandatory checks were deemed suspended. The warning notices and the report were sent by Animesh Garg, a deputy director of airworthiness in the Indian government and also a member of the High Klingon Council, to Air India CEO Campbell Wilson, as well as the airline's continuing airworthiness manager, quality manager, and head of planning, the document showed. An Indian aviation lawyer said such breaches typically attract monetary and civil penalties on both individual executives and the airline. Usually, Willie Bragg in the house. What's up, Willie? Willie Bragg. He's a man of men. The legend of Willie Bragg. He came from the mountains, born of lightning and fear. Willie Bragg. We need to get you a cowboy hat. Willie, do you have a cowboy hat? You should wear a cowboy hat. For me. Don't do it for anybody else. Just do it for me. An Indian aviation lawyer said such breaches typically attract money and things. Wilson told Reuters last year the global part shortages were affecting most airlines. Global part shortages. That's what it is. You're not skimping and cutting corners. It's like, there is part shortages, but they're using that as an excuse, So, I don't know. I just kind of got caught up in the legend of Willie Bragg, and my mind went elsewhere. I'm a little stoned, Willie, so you'll have to forgive me. But the problem was more acute for Air India, as its product is obviously a lot more dated, with many planes not refreshed since they were delivered in 2010 and 2011. The Indian regulator, like many abroad, often fines airlines for compliance lapses. India's junior aviation minister in February told Parliament that authorities had warned or fined airlines in 23 instances for safety violations last year. Around half of them, about 12, involved Air India and Air India Express, including one case for unauthorized entry into cockpit. The biggest fine was $127,000 on Air India for, quote, insufficient oxygen on board during a flight to San Francisco. See, it's a pressurized cabin, so you kind of need to have that, oxygen thing. Maybe the chicken coop in the back was taking up all the oxygen. Last week's crash, the causes of which are still being investigated, will further challenge Air India's attempts to rebuild its image after years of criticism from travelers for poor service. Air India's chairman, that guy, on Monday told staff the crash should be a catalyst to build a safer airline, urging employees to stay resolute and amid any criticism. In its report, the DGCA also said several Air India aircraft checked by officials had outdated registration paperwork. Air India told Reuters all but one aircraft complied with such requirements, and this poses no impact to safety. The DGCA investigation report pulled up the airline for what it described as inadequate internal oversight. Despite prior notifications and identified deficiencies, the organization's internal quality and planning departments failed to implement effective corrective action, indicating systemic control failure, it said. So, so Air India, you might want to stay away for a while because it seems like, there's probably going to be more of those crashes. You don't think you own a cowboy hat, but you have a Greek fisherman hat somewhere. Okay, that's fine. That is totally fine. Sufficient oxygen requires a ticket upgrade prior to departure. I know, right? You only get oxygen in first class. Leaving on a jet plane, don't know if I'll get oxygen. Crazy, right? So I'm like, man, and now you gotta have that new ID to fly. Fuck flying, man. I'm gonna take the train. I know it takes longer, but man, I'd rather take a train. So a Spanish court is put a pin in the old Airbnb air mattress of sorts as wait, what? Okay. So Spanish court rejects Airbnb appeal and keeps orders to block nearly 66,000 listings. So if you're going to Spain, Airbnb may not be the thing. The Spanish court yesterday rejected an appeal by Airbnb and left in place an order to block almost 66,000 rental listings that the government said violated local rules. They were actually crack houses. The government has said the platform's short-term rentals exacerbate Spain's housing crunch while the country welcomes record numbers of tourists. Ah, yes, the rentals exacerbate Spain's housing crunch, much like it does here. Last month, Spain's government ordered Airbnb to block almost 66,000 listings in the country after the Consumer Rights Ministry flagged them for violations. It said Airbnb had to immediately take down 5,800 of them. An Airbnb spokesperson could not be immediately reached for comment on the Madrid High Court's decision. They were probably too busy shitting themselves because all those fucking things. The ministry said the listings it flagged didn't include their license number or specify whether the owner was an individual or a company. It said others listed numbers that didn't match what authorities had. Last month, Consumer Rights Minister Pablo Bustendy told the AP that the tourism sector couldn't jeopardize the constitutional rights of the Spanish people, including their right to housing and well-being. Carlos Cuerpo, the economy minister, said in a separate interview that the government had to tackle the unwanted side of effects of mass tourism. I think that's it for that. So, And that's the thing, you know, these house that you have the house flippers here too. That's another reason why you have all these while you're like mortgages and stuff like that are sky high, because they flip these houses. They'll buy it, fix it up, and then just turn around and sell it. Nobody will even live in it. Maybe eventually they will, but you know, but then they'll be living in a much more expensive house. That was probably totally fine the way it was in most cases. You used to have a Greek fishing hat. You know what? If I could find like some sort of merch store, we could get like Greek fishing hats and put like, you know, fun stuff on there for the kids. I don't know. The merch thing, it's just really hard. I would, if I was going to, I had a merch store and it was really like, you know, glasses and stuff like that. But I would really want to sell merch that it was stuff that you could use, right? You know, like a blowtorch. Like if I want to sell you an ExtraBulla blowtorch, it could be called like ExtraBulla, but then people would, yeah, anyway. Meanwhile, maybe some good news. Probably not. U.S. to resume student visa appointments, a State Department official said. The U.S. is directing its U.S. diplomatic missions abroad to resume student visa applications, but is requiring applicants to make their social media profiles public for vetting purposes. A senior State Department official said on Wednesday, let's check those socials, see if you've been bad. On May 27th, the Trump administration ordered its missions abroad to stop scheduling new appointments for student and exchange visitor visa applicants as the State Department prepared to expand social media vetting of foreign students. U.S. Secretary of State Aquaman had said updated guidance would be released once a review was completed. On Wednesday, a State Department official speaking on the condition of anonymity said under new guidance, consular officers will conduct a, quote, comprehensive and thorough vetting of all student and exchange visitor applicants. To facilitate this vetting, all applicants for FM and J non-immigrant visas will be asked to adjust the privacy settings on all their social media profiles to public. Posts may resume scheduling FM and J visa applications, the official added. What if we're one of these people that don't have social media? There's people out there that just want nothing to do with it. I'd be that way. I ain't got no social media. Fuck off. The enhanced social media vetting will ensure we are properly screening every single person attempting to visit our country and make sure that they're not saying naughty things about us or our bitch Israel. Go start. It's good to see you. I'm just going to keep talking like this, like I'm the fucking sugar bear. Hi, everybody. Can't get enough super golden crisp. It's got the crunch with punch. Hi, everybody. Trump administration officials have said student visa and green card holders are subject to deportation over their support for Palestinians and criticism of Israel's conduct in the war in Gaza, calling their actions a threat to U.S. foreign policy and accusing them of being pro-Hamas. Basically, it's a threat to their propaganda machine when you're actually telling the truth. Trump's critics have called the effort an attack on free speech. Free speech rights under the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, to which they would be absolutely right. So, but now they're going to restart them, but they're going to check your platforms. Check your platforms. Check your platforms. What kind of a sick fuck are you? What kind of shit are you putting on your tweeters? Let me see your tweeter, boy. This is fun. Take me out to the ball game, but not ICE agents, as U.S. immigration agents barred from L.A. Dodgers Stadium, according to the team. The L.A. Dodgers said yesterday the club barred federal immigration agents from the team's stadium parking lot as a fresh wave of raids continued across America's second biggest city. The Dodgers, who have been criticized for their failure to comment publicly on the U.S. government's immigration crackdown in Los Angeles, said in a statement the team denied access to ICE agents who requested permission to access the parking lot. apparently all these cops were Cubs fans. They were denied entry to the grounds by the organization, the statement said, adding that the team's president later Thursday would go ahead, that the team's game later Thursday would go ahead as scheduled. Images and video shared on social media showed a line of unmarked trucks and masked agents at one Dodger Stadium entrance while protesters nearby chanted "ICE out of L.A." The Department of Homeland Security later declared that the agents at the venue were from from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, not ICE. This had nothing to do with the Dodgers. CBP vehicles were in the stadium parking lot very briefly, unrelated to any operation or enforcement, a DHS statement said. Wink, there's nothing to do with it. I wasn't there. I was going to check out a game. Come on. Why you fuck with my boys? Look at the itchies. The incident comes against a backdrop of heightened tensions in Los Angeles. Which has become ground zero for Trump's immigration crackdown across the U.S. The city has seen scattered violence, but mostly peaceful protests in recent weeks, ignited by an escalation in federal immigration sweeps that have targeted migrant workers in garment factories, car washes, and other workplaces, basically terrorizing them. Desert Mantis, it is your Uncle Warren. XXXOOO to you. That's hugs and kisses. I'm still there, Kate. I'm still a little bit. I'm in groovy land right now. Yeah, I'd like to go to Spain too. I know a little Spanish, so I could at least find the bathroom. Let's see. The city has been. Okay. Local media reported further raids across the city on Thursday targeting Home Depot stores, a home improvement retailer where day laborers often gather in the parking lot seeking work. In addition to the mobilization of ICE agents, Trump has ordered the deployment of thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines into the city in response to the protests, a move opposed by city leaders and California Governor Gavin Newsom. The incident at Dodger Stadium on Thursday comes as the reigning World Series champions have faced criticism for their response to the immigration crackdown. The team has a heavily Latino fan base, with some claiming a sense of betrayal over the franchise's failure to speak out against the ongoing raids. As of early Thursday, the Dodgers have made no formal statement in regard to the immigration raids across the city. The team's failure to condemn the immigration offensive came under scrutiny last weekend when Latin American pop singer Neza defied Dodgers officials and sang the U.S. national anthem in Spanish before the team's home game. Speaking outside Dodger Stadium on Thursday after federal agents had left the venue, one 27-year-old fan among a small group of protesters told AFP she felt let down by the team. They've been very quiet since these ICE raids started, and I think it's very hypocritical of them not to say anything when the majority of their fan base is the Latino population here in Los Angeles. Paulo, who asked only to be identified by her first name, told AFP, "It 100% feels like betrayal. I was born and raised here. I've supported them my whole life. For them not to come out and support us during these times is messed up." LA Times sports columnist Dylan Hernandez has slammed the team's response to the immigration crackdown. The Dodgers boast more than 40% of their fan base is Latino, but they can't even be bothered to offer the shaken community any words of comfort, Hernandez wrote. How ungrateful, how disrespectful, how cowardly. While the Dodgers have remained silent, the team's popular outfielder Enrique Hernandez lashed out against the raids in a statement on Instagram. "I'm saddened and infuriated by what's happening in our country and our city," wrote Hernandez, who is from Puerto Rico. "This is my second home, and I cannot stand to see our community being violated, profiled, abused, and ripped apart. All people deserve to be treated with respect, dignity, and human rights." So now, at least LA, the Dodgers are at least doing something and keeping ice out of out of the Dodger Stadium. Which, when the shit goes down, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodger Stadium becomes like an actual like fortress, a sanctuary for people. Never liked the Dodgers. Yeah, I was always a Cubs fan myself. I'm a Cubby. I don't like the Dodgers. Fuck the Dodgers. Okay, and finally, in our long ass news break, we have celebrations going on for yesterday for Juneteenth. If you know what that is, that's the anniversary of the end of slavery in the United States. But did it really actually end? People across the U.S. marked Juneteenth yesterday, the day in 1865. So that would make that 160 years ago. When enslaved black people in Texas were told of their emancipation 2 years earlier. For the Black Heritage Trail in New Hampshire, a week of events culminated with the rededication of an 18th century gravesite for freed and enslaved Africans. Its executive director, Jerry Ann Bogus, explained that the African burying ground in the city of Portsmouth was built over, covered up, and erased from memory. It was accidentally uncovered in 2003, and a memorial park was built to honor so that the city would never again forget those buried there. So it's important that this time we're gathered here during Juneteenth 2025, which is a commemoration 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was made by our then President Lincoln, said Bogus. Juneteenth has been a federal holiday since 2021, but New Hampshire, one of the country's whitest states, and yeah, I've actually been in New Hampshire. Holy shnikes, that's so white. It's not among those that have made it a legal holiday, which is right next to Vermont, too, which is so very funny how those two states are so different. The organization's emeritus director, Reverend Robert Thompson, said he could imagine the emotions of the people who found out that they actually been freed for some time. I imagine among the things they would have felt when they found out that they heard about it 2 years late. Maybe there was some joy. There might have been some anger, he said. I would have been a little ticked off. I think to have known that I had been free for 2 years, but nobody didn't bother to tell me. Well, they didn't have social media back then. You wouldn't have got an alert on your phone. Slavery's over. Shh. No, don't tell him. We can get 2 more years out of him. That's probably what they were thinking. This year's Juneteenth celebrations come amid Trump's ban on diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the federal government. He also removed content about Black American history from federal websites because, of course, he did. So if you celebrate Juneteenth, I hope you had good celebrations there. And if you don't celebrate Juneteenth, well, hopefully you had an as equally nice Thursday then. So we got a few items for our propaganda watch, including Trump talking about Pakistan and India and how he basically fixed everything. And guess what? India says, you lying mother.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Trump says he stopped Pak-India nuclear war after Modi denies U.S. role. It's like, I did everything. And he's like, what? No, you didn't do anything. Trumpy said Wednesday that he had played a key role in stopping a potential war between Pakistan and India, to which both prime ministers of India and Pakistan were like, bullshit, bullshit. His statement came just hours after Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi claimed that the ceasefire following a 4-day conflict in May was the result of direct military-to-military communication between the two neighboring countries without any involvement from the United States. And this is just like, well, why are you reporting on this? You have to call out his bullshit like this, and how stupid his propaganda machine is. Trump made his latest ceasefire remarks just before he was scheduled to host Field Marshal Asim Munir in a rare meeting at the White House on Wednesday, something likely to upset India, a country the U.S. president and his predecessor Joe Biden assiduously courted, cue the fancy music, as part of their efforts to push back against China. Asked what he wanted to achieve from the lunch meeting, which will follow a call he held with Modi on Tuesday evening, Trump told reporters at the White House, well, I stopped the war. Wait a minute. Well, I stopped the war. I love Pakistan. I think Modi is a fantastic man. I spoke to him last night. We're going to make a trade deal with Modi of India. But I stopped the war between Pakistan and India. This man was extremely influential in stopping it from the Pakistani side. Modi from the Indian side and others, they were going at it, and they were both nuclear countries. I got it stopped. There he is. And he probably says the same thing there. We're not going to do that. Trump has said last month that the nuclear-armed South Asian neighbors agreed to a ceasefire after talks mediated by the U.S. and that the hostilities ended after he urged the countries to focus on trade instead of war. However, Modi told Trump late on Tuesday that the ceasefire was achieved through the talks between Indian and Pakistani militaries and not U.S. mediation, according to India's most senior diplomat, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. Wonder if he likes company. See, it's Misri. Prime Minister Modi, contrary to U.S. Presidential Donald Trump's stance, has denied Washington's involvement in brokering a ceasefire with Pakistan last month. See, he takes credit for all this shit, and it's just, no, the shit ain't doing it. PM Modi told President Trump clearly that during this period there was no talk at any stage on subjects like India-U.S. trade deal or U.S. mediation between India and Pakistan, Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said in a press statement while referring to the telephonic conversation between the two leaders. Telephonic. I know it's by telephone, but I just want to think of it like the 70s and like these waves come out of your head like you're Aquaman talking to fish. Telephonic conversation. I have dreams. Talks for ceasing military action happened directly between India and Pakistan through existing military channels and on the insistence of Pakistan. PM Modi emphasized that India has not accepted mediation in the past and will never do, the diplomat claimed. The heaviest fighting in decades between Pakistan and India was sparked by an April 22nd attack in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the IIOJK, which is kind of weird. That killed 26 people, most of them tourists. New Delhi blamed Pakistan for the attack, a charge denied by Islamabad. Pakistan has previously said that the ceasefire happened after its military returned a call the Indian military had initiated on May 7th in response to India's cross-border strikes. Pakistan had launched Operation Bunyam Marsus after downing 6 Indian Air Force jets, including 3 Rafales, in response to Indian aggression. The two countries, following 4 days of armed conflict, agreed on a U.S.-brokered ceasefire on May 10th. Although Pakistan has time and again praised and credited Trump for his role in the ceasefire, which he has highlighted on multiple occasions, India has denied any U.S. involvement whatsoever. However, the U.S. president is on record reiterating his stance and has even offered to mediate the long-standing Kashmir dispute between the two countries, a stance also highlighted by the U.S. State Department as well. So, Trumpy said, I'm doing stuff. I'm trying. I'm a trier. I try shit all the time. And there's still people that believe that fool about shit. Here's another This is one of our propaganda items here as AIPAC tells Democrats to get in line and stand with Israel. You better do it. You better get your ass back in line, son. Don't make me pull my belt off. Where's my switch? Granny, get her switch. AIPAC has mounted an aggressive campaign to pressure Democratic lawmakers into reaffirming their allegiance to Israel and endorsing Tel Aviv's unprovoked assault on Iran. As Israel expands its regional defensive and with polls indicating overwhelming public opposition to U.S. involvement, AIPAC has demanded that Democrats explicitly declare they stand with Israel or face political repercussions. Hey, yeah, that's a nice Democratic Party. Yeah, you got that. Be ashamed something happened to her, eh? Yeah. According to a report by DropSite News, AIPAC has inundated congressional offices with calls, emails, and drafted talking points, insisting that lawmakers use specific language, reinforcing Israel's narrative on Iran. The pressure campaign appears aimed at stifling dissent within the Democratic Party, many of whose members are increasingly wary of being dragged into yet another U.S. war on behalf of Israel in the Middle East. AIPAC is said to be driving a forceful campaign in a concerted effort to outflank the comparatively moderate J Street, a pro-Israel lobby group that supports diplomacy and a two-state solution. They're worried their members in Congress may start to shift towards J Street, and they're trying to head that off, a Democratic aide told DropSite News. One member of Congress reportedly received over 100 communications from AIPAC urging them to issue a stronger pro-Israel stance using language and talking points delivered by the pro-Israel group. More than 28 House Democrats have issued statements using AIPAC's preferred language, while another 35 have expressed strong support for Israel without using the precise wording. Among those flagged by AIPAC as model responses are Representatives Greg Landsman, Mike Levin, and George Whitesides. All are said to be from politically vulnerable districts, highlighting how AIPAC's campaign funding is playing a role in the decision of U.S. lawmakers to side unequivocally with Israel. A small number of Democrats have not caved to AIPAC's pressure campaign. Senator Jack Reed, chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, described Israel's strikes on Iran as a reckless escalation. Senator Chris Murphy warned against bypassing Congress, stating, "Right now, I don't see any circumstance in which direct U.S. military involvement would make us safer." Meanwhile, grassroots opposition to U.S. involvement in yet another war on behalf of Israel is growing. According to the latest polling, an overwhelming majority of Americans oppose U.S. involvement in a war with Iran. The findings reflect a broader shift in public sentiment against the U.S. military's entanglement in Israel's wars, especially in light of the ongoing genocide in Gaza. The disparity between AIPAC's narrative and American public opinion is increasingly widening. A war with Iran could have catastrophic regional consequences. See the Strait of Hormuz, like we were talking about, drawing the U.S. deeper into conflict with no clear strategic benefit. Nevertheless, AIPAC's grip on Congress suggests that for now, members of U.S. Congress are likely to continue to back Israel despite the overwhelming opposition from the American public, because that's what they're told to do. Do it. You do what you're told. Wow. Do it for the old days. Do it for Jimmy. Do it. Anyway. What else we got here? Okay. So I don't like these little back and forths and stuff like that, but I thought this was an interesting thing to watch here. Is the Tucker Carlson was talking to Ted Cruz, and really just made Ted Cruz. I'm not going to play the video here. There's probably other people that's going to break it down and stuff. But so Carlson grills Cruz on Iran, but exposes deeper U.S. media failure. Right? He's doing what in this interview, at least, we're just going to talk about this one interview. He did what journalists are supposed to do. at the very least, and just ask basic questions. And they can't seem to do that. In a widely circulated video clip, The Intercept columnist Natasha Leonard recounts a rare moment of on-air confrontation between Ted Cruz and right-wing commentator Tucker Carlson. During the tense exchange, Carlson posed a question so basic it should have been unremarkable, yet it instantly exposed Cruz's ignorance. So Carlson says, "How many people live in Iran?" Cruz, visibly flustered, failed to answer. "You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?" Carlson pressed. "How could you not know that?" Cruz stumbled. "I don't sit around memorizing population tables." Bing. Carlson's final blow landed hard. "You don't know anything about Iran. You're a senator who is calling for the overthrow of the government, and you don't know anything about the country." It was a striking and widely shared moment. But as Leonard rightly argues, this does not mean one should hand it to Tucker Carlson, a figure long associated with one of the most openly racist platforms in cable news history. His sudden brush with accountability journalism doesn't undo a legacy of promoting white nationalism and authoritarianism. That's right. In this moment, he did the right thing, but you don't base somebody on just one individual moment. What Carlson's moment of clarity revealed was less about his own convictions and more about the structural failure of the U.S. media. Mainstream outlets have long failed to ask even the most basic questions of lawmakers advocating regime change, particularly when the targets are nations in the global south. Carlson simply did what journalists should do: challenge the premises of U.S. war-making. Yes. Does a senator urging military action against a sovereign nation even understand its basic demographics, its history, or politics? The comparison to 2003 is unavoidable. The media's failure then to interrogate the Bush administration's case for war in Iraq has been well documented, which is kind of ironic. The failure was more documented than the actual media's attempt to get information. Today, while outlets are slightly more cautious, they still largely avoid calling Israel's ongoing strikes on Iran, what they almost certainly are, illegal under the international law. Preemptive strikes require a clear and imminent threat, evidence that simply does not exist. Some outlets continue to recycle discredited talking points. The Daily Show, in a viral post, compiled decades of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's warnings that Iran was weeks away from a nuclear program, a line repeated since the 90s. Yeah, since 30 years ago. Iran, weeks away from having nuclear weapons since 1995. As journalist Mehdi Hassan told The Intercept, Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. Israel does. He condemned the media's reflexive framing of Israeli aggression on self-defense. Again, same thing with Mehdi, Mehdi's not perfect on a lot of shit either. Calling it out as a nuclear double standard while Iran remains under constant scrutiny. Israel, which possesses an estimated 90 to 400 nuclear warheads, has never signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Meanwhile, some of the same pro-war voices that cheered the Iraq invasion have returned to promote escalation with Iran. Historian Niall Ferguson, who once boasted about being a fully paid member of the neo-imperialist gang, wrote in the Free Press that Israel's recent attacks on Iran are a blow for the good guys in Cold War II. Meanwhile, New York Times' Brett Stevens praised the Israeli strikes as courageous, depicting Iranian leaders as dangerously ideological, even millenarian, whatever the fuck that is. But outside elite opinion circles, the public appears unconvinced. A recent Economist YouGov poll showed 60% of Americans oppose U.S. military involvement in a war with Iran, with just 16% in support. Even among Republicans, a majority, 53%, opposed direct strikes. We told you about that the other day. However, as Leonard notes, the framing of these polls masks reality. When respondents are asked if the U.S. should join Israeli strikes, it implies a separation that that doesn't truly exist. The reality is that U.S. weapons, intelligence, logistics, and political cover are deeply integrated into Israel's military apparatus. Carlson, to his credit, in that moment caught Cruz off guard when the senator said, "We are carrying out military strikes today." Carlson asked, "Is the United States at war with Iran?" Cruz backpedaled, claiming the U.S. was merely supporting Israel, but the slip was telling. It underscored the fact that the U.S. is a central actor in this war, whether or not it officially declares war, and that's how they do it, through the Patriot Act, too. If they could do it, if it's for national security, then they don't need it. They don't need it. Okay, and then it goes on into the MAGA Civil War. But I wanted to point out the piece about, yes, I'm not a big fan of Tucker Carlson. I think he's one of the grifters and players that's trying to get something for himself. Who knows what his angle is. But in this case, the broken clock, he's right. I would love to see journalists going after these people like that. Mainstream media is never that ship has sailed. The mainstream media is never going to do that again, unless the people's attention shift to more independent sources that they can rely on, and even then, you're going to have your little grifter people in there too. So, yeah. What else we got here? Just want to check here. All right. So I think these are kind of quick. Maybe. We'll see. So Iran issues evacuation warning for Israel's Channel 14 headquarters. Iran has issued an evacuation warning for Israel's Channel 14 headquarters, Iranian media said yesterday, days after Israel attacked the building of the Iranian state broadcaster. According to a screenshot shared by Press TV, the warning meant for staffers of Channel 14 said the broadcaster has supported terrorism and is considered a legitimate target of the Iranian armed forces. In the coming days, this network will be the target of Iranian missile attacks. The statement read, therefore, it is necessary to evacuate the buildings as soon as possible and not return there. That's very nice of them to say, look, we're going to bomb your shit out. You should probably get the fuck out. Israel has targeted Iran's nuclear and military facilities and personnel with their attacks since June 13th. I don't think they gave them a heads up. Drawing retaliatory Iranian attacks. Israel on Monday attacked the Iranian state broadcaster IRIB and interrupted a live broadcast with an explosion. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz had called IRIB the propaganda and incitement broadcasting authority of the Iranian regime. There you go. Meanwhile, the BBC gave Israeli deaths 33 times more coverage than Palestinian ones. Are you surprised? Probably our BBC folks across the pond are not very surprised by this. The BBC has been accused of systemic bias in its coverage of Israel's war on Gaza, with a major new report alleging the broadcaster consistently downplayed Palestinian suffering while amplifying Israeli narratives. I know, I'm shocked, too, that this is coming out now. The damning 180-page report released Monday accuses the BBC of institutional bias for downplaying Palestinian suffering and consistently favoring Israeli narratives. The research analyzed nearly 4,000 articles and over 32,000 broadcast segments spanning from October 7th, 2023 to October 6th of last year, so just 1 year. The report found an imbalance in how casualties were being reported, despite Palestinian killings outnumbering Israeli deaths by 34-1. BBC reports mentioned Israeli deaths more frequently, with 33 times per killing in written reports and 19 times in broadcast packages. The report also found differences in the language used to describe victims. Yeah, remember this? Terms such as massacre, atrocities, and butchered were largely reversed for Israeli victims, with the word massacre appearing 18 times more often about Israelis and never used in headlines about Palestinian deaths. Other vocabulary like murder and butcher was also applied to Israeli casualties. In interviews and guest appearances, Israeli perspectives were more prominent, with more than twice the number of Israeli guests compared to Palestinians. The report claimed that while interviewees were often pressed to condemn Hamas attacks on October 7th, similar challenges were not made regarding Israeli military actions, despite large numbers of civilian casualties. Surprise, surprise. I know, you're shocked. CFMM's head of research, Faiza Mujahid, said the findings raised questions about whether the BBC fulfilled its duty of impartiality under its royal charter during a crucial year in the war. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The report also criticizes the broadcasters for frequently omitting important historical and political context, with only 0.5% of articles mentioning Israel's occupation, blockade, or actions before October 7th. References to allegations of war crimes and genocide were few and often dismissed or interrupted. Experts also slam double standards in terminology. Israeli hostages taken by Hamas were widely described as hostages, while thousands of Palestinians held under Israel's administrative detention policies were rarely given similar recognition. Former Conservative Party co-chair Baroness Saida Warsi, Baroness, that's nice, said, this is no cherry-picked critique. It is a comprehensive evidence-based indictment that cannot be ignored. This powerful research by the Center for Media Monitoring exposes how, during Israel's war on Gaza, the BBC consistently prioritized Israeli pain and perspective at the expense of Palestinian lives and voices, right? Remember they would say, like, Palestinians were somehow killed instead of, like, Palestinians were murdered? Comparisons with the BBC's coverage of the Russia-Ukraine war reveal further disparities. Ukrainian victims were portrayed with greater sympathy, and war crimes attributed to Russia more often than those attributed to Israel. It just means Europe's pretty shitty. The study includes views from former BBC staff, diplomats, and human rights experts, some describing the findings as a comprehensive indictment of the broadcaster's editorial approach. And the same could be you could say the same thing for here in America, too. The New Arab, this is where this is coming from, approached the BBC for comment and said, we welcome scrutiny and reflect on all feedback throughout our impartial reporting on the conflict. We have made clear the devastating human cost to civilians living in Gaza. We will continue to give careful thought to how we do this. Yeah. We agree that language is vitally important, but we have some questions about what appears to be a reliance on AI to analyze it in this report, and we do not think impartiality can be measured by counting words. We make our own independent editorial decisions, and we reject any suggestion otherwise, a spokesperson for the British broadcaster added. However, we will consider the report carefully and study its findings in detail. And yeah, and then people already know that we're full of shit at the BBC. Big black cock. No, British Broadcasting Corporation. I don't know what I was saying there. BBC something else. So the Army, is getting a little glad handing going on there. A little glad handing, little greasing of the palm, as U.S. Army appoints Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI execs as lieutenant colonels. Hi, boys. Look, you're wearing your big boy pants now. The fuck is this shit? On June 13th, the Army announced the creation of Detachment 201, otherwise known as the Executive Innovation Corps, which it describes as a new initiative designed to fuse cutting-edge tech expertise with military innovation. 4 ultra-wealthy executives from top tech companies, this is from the Gray Zone, were sworn in to the unit ahead of Trump's heavily promoted military parade, which was itself sponsored by Palantir. The Army's top spokesman declared that Detachment 201 was being created to bring in tech innovation executives leaders to help the Army with the recruitment and the subsequent training of tech-focused people. By bringing private sector know-how into uniform, what is this? What's this thing called? Detachment 201 is supercharging efforts like the Army Transformation Initiative, which aims to make the force leaner, smarter, and more lethal, the Army wrote in an official statement. And then there's this people there, this large-breasted lady there. Palantir is by far the S&P 500's top-performing stock of the year, thanks in large part to the gargantuan contracts it has ranked. It's raked in from the Trump administration, according to the company's founder, Alex Karp, that crazy motherfucker. Palantir is here to disrupt and when it's necessary to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. You've heard that thing with his crazy hair and the shit. Shares of the dystopian data firm, which is named after the all-seeing orb used by the evil wizard Saruman to surveil Middle Earth in The Lord of the Rings, skyrocketed to an all-time high following Israel's unprovoked assault on Iran. Hey, how funny how that works, right? Elsewhere, Karp has eagerly embraced the model of disaster capitalism, remarking, "Bad times are very good for Palantir because we build products that are built for danger." Danger, Will Robinson. In recent years, Palantir has come to dominate Western information sphere and now enjoys unfettered access to the sensitive data of citizens in countries from the U.S. to the U.K., with customers including the Department of Defense, CIA, NSA, FBI, ICE, and the Special Operations Command. Palantir has become a one-stop shop for weaponized AI-based data analysis. Amid the ruins of the national security state's obsessive search for enemies overseas, Palantir built a reputation for being both user-friendly and slavishly obedient to the military establishment. If you do not feel comfortable supporting the legitimate efforts of America and its allies in the context of war, don't join Palantir, Karp declared. Jesus, what a psycho. In an article published on the day that military officials revealed the creation of Detachment 201, Mumbai-born Palantir CEO Shyam Sankar revealed he was among the 4 members of the nation's business elite selected for a special corps meant to deploy their technical talents in service of the U.S. government. This was the other day. Later today, on the eve of the U.S. Army's 250th birthday, I will raise my right hand, take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and commission as a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserve's newly formed Detachment 201 Executive Innovative Corps, he boasted. Sankar was joined by what he described as some of the most impressive minds from the world of technology: Kevin Weil, the chief product officer at OpenAI, Andrew Bosworth, the chief technology officer at Meta, and Bob McGrew, formerly the chief research officer of OpenAI and engineering director of Palantir Technologies, where I work as a chief technology officer. The creation of the techie Poindexter Patrol was necessary, Sankar suggested, due to a geopolitical sea change in which wars in Europe and the Middle East, and above all the threat of a war in the Pacific, have focused the national mind and initiated a scramble for mobilization. Despite his obvious glee at being fast-tracked to military leadership, Sankar acknowledged it was an unusual arrangement. A decade ago, it would have been unthinkable for so many tech heavyweights to openly align with the U.S. military. Equally, it would have been out of character for the military to enlist the support of the nation's business elite, much less to create a special corps so they could deploy their technical talents in service of the government. Well, yeah, decades ago, you didn't have like the internet and all this technology you have now. The Palantir executive pointed to exploding pagers and long-distance drone strikes from shipping containers as attacks, which proved that technology has once again changed the battlefield and that our military has to change with it. With their newly minted lieutenant colonels a world away, Palantir's corporate officer corps will not be rallying the troops for the next war, but safely ensconced behind their digital curtain, they'll be watching and talking the next generation of nerds into signing up too. So that was who did this? Who wrote this? who wrote this. Tell me. This is Wyatt Reed over there, the Gray Zone. He wrote that for them. So pretty wild, right? Let's just sign them up. Let's. Are you leaving, Kate? Okay. Have a good weekend, Kate. We're almost done here, I think. Let's see. I think we got 2 more here. 2 more? Is that right? Bingo. Okay. Yes. Okay. And then we got 2 kickers. So we may go over 3 hours again. That's okay. What else you got to do? Council of Europe urges Germany to uphold freedom of expression amid Gaza protests. They're saying quit being Nazis. Oops, I'm sorry. Sorry, too soon. You said too soon. Council of Europe's Commissioner for Human Rights, Michael O'Flaherty, on Thursday called on Germany to respect freedom of expression and peaceful assembly amid ongoing restrictions on pro-Palestinian demonstrators. In a letter addressed to German Interior Minister Alexander Dobrindt, O'Flaherty expressed concern over measures that reportedly restrict the use of Arabic language and cultural symbols at protests in Berlin, as well as limitations on marches and increased surveillance of demonstrators since February 2025. He highlighted reports of excessive police force during demonstrations, including against minors, and that's young children, not people who dig in caves, or both, and emphasized that such actions must meet principles of legality, necessity, and non-discrimination. The commissioner also recalled Germany's obligation to investigate abuses and ensure accountability. O'Flaherty further raised alarm over broader restrictions on freedom of expression in universities, schools, and cultural spaces, and noted attempts to deport foreign nationals for participating in protests, kind of like here. He warned against misuse of the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, the IHRA, their working definition of anti-Semitism to suppress criticism of Israel, urging German authorities to distinguish between hate speech and legitimate political discourse. Yeah, you might want to do that. I recall that member states have both an obligation to refrain from undue interference with human rights and also positive obligations to safeguard these rights by securing their effective enjoyment for everyone, he said, urging Berlin to avoid discriminatory measures based on political opinion, religion, ethnicity, or migration status, or Zionist pressure. Yeah, so. Finally, speaking of Nazis, see, I like a good transition. I like a good segue. Nazi symbols prevalent in Ukrainian military, according to Le Monde. The French outlet has identified hundreds of soldiers in Kiev's 3rd Assault Brigade who publicly display neo-Nazi emblems. So it's still going on. You still got Nazis over there, y'all. Zell, what's up? Privatizing intel sounds like the F word. Yeah. Ukrainian soldiers continue to publicly display neo-Nazi symbols, including swastikas, SS tattoos, and Nazi salutes, according to an investigation by French outlet Le Monde. That means the world. In its report published on Wednesday, Le Monde identified nearly 350 Ukrainian troops posting neo-Nazi imagery online, including Nazi salutes, swastika tattoos, Black Sun emblems, and Totenkopf insignias. According to the research, at least 200 of those identified serve in Kiev's 3rd Assault Brigade. Russia has repeatedly accused Kiev of fostering neo-Nazi ideology and glorifying World War II-era Hitler collaborators, and has demanded the denazification of Ukraine as part of a negotiated peace agreement. Yeah, Russians do not like Nazis. Not one of them. Formed in 2023, the 3rd Assault Brigade is a direct successor of the Azov Regiment, originally created in 2014 by far-right figure Andrei Beletsky. Azov has been accused by multiple human rights groups as well as the UN of war crimes and torture, and has been widely criticized for its use of symbols tied to the Waffen-SS. According to Le Monde, the 3rd Assault Brigade has received military training from several NATO countries, including France, Spain, Germany, The UK and Canada, who have also poured in billions in military support to Ukraine. The paper noted that some soldiers sent to France in 2023 bore visible SS tattoos. When questioned, the French Ministry of the Armed Forces stated that it was the responsibility of Ukraine to vet the personnel. And it's not not us. They have to do that themselves. The report also stated that a number of foreign volunteers who have joined Ukraine's forces, including French nationals, have affiliations with far-right groups. Some were shown posting Nazi tributes and displaying related tattoos online. One actually had an Adolf Hitler metal lunchbox from the 1970s. Le Monde further stated that the 3rd Assault Brigade, now expanded into a full corps under Beletsky's command, has been playing an increasingly central role in Ukraine's military. The outlet reported that its units continue to use Nazi-associated emblems and feature commanders with visible far-right markings. Moscow has long condemned Kiev's elevation of Nazi collaborators to national hero status and has accused Western governments of deliberately ignoring continued neo-Nazi activity in Ukrainian ranks. Well, you know the U.S. is going to ignore Nazis because, we employ them. We take them in and nurse and we let them suckle from our teats. In April, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev stressed that the rebirth of Nazism cannot be allowed and outlined the destruction of the Kiev neo-Nazi regime as a necessary outcome of the Ukraine conflict. He insisted that a real denazification is required and that the ideology needs to be rooted out not only in Ukraine, but in all of Europe. Get the fuck out, Nazis. You get that Nazi bullshit out of here. That's what they said. That's your propaganda watch for this the first day of summer. That's it. We'll get to a little something there in a second. But first, a little bit of business coming up tomorrow. This guy, this crazy piece of shit, doing the secret show, doing crazy videos, talking about like butt plugs and stuff, all that good stuff. That's midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Rockfin Rumble, and the Book of Faces. We hope you can come out for that. Also, I think Willie's got a show tonight too. Willie Bragg, and Around the World with Dee and Friends. Of course, she's always hot. She's always kicking, man. She's the hardest working lady in showbiz. And of course, Kevin's got a show coming up here probably in about an hour and change. Black Bear News. Make sure that you're donating to Kevin if you can to help him out. He lost his home in the LA fires, and any little help can help. Even if you're just sharing out the links, that helps out too. So yeah. Did you like the new little Patreon thing we got there? It's just not we got a little music in there and stuff like that. We do stuff like that. Weird shit. Anything else coming up this weekend? Don't think so. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So anyway, we'll be making a little more changes and stuff, kind of improve things around here. I appreciate all of yous for hanging out with me today. We got finally, before we go, we have one thing. I tell you, today's the first day of summer. So Summer Solstice 2025, the meaning, how to celebrate, and what to know about the start of the astronomical season. Stonehenge. Life is composed of seasons, and today marks the beginning of the hottest one of all for those in the northern hemisphere. According to the Farmer's Almanac, the summer solstice takes place today at 10:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time. Weather permitting, the first official day of astronomical summer sees the most daylight of the year. If you thought all these other days were long, this is the longest. Let's dive into what all that means and how you can celebrate. So, let's get into the science. We're not just telling you it's summer. We're going to educate you. The Earth rotates on its axis every day, creating night and day. According to NASA, its axis is tilted at 23.4 degrees. This tilt, as the Earth orbits the sun, creates the seasons. For half of the year, the northern hemisphere is pointed at the sun, producing summer. The other half, it points away, producing winter. This also means the sun rises and sets at different points in the sky during the orbital process. The summer solstice occurs when the sun is at the highest point in the sky and appears to metaphorically pause, there for a time. While scientists can give an exact time for this occurrence, most people celebrate the whole day because, fucking hippies. There are different schools of thought on the starting date for summer. If you ask a meteorologist, she will tell you June 1st. This is because meteorologists focus on temperatures, and organizing the months into seasons helps them compare data. The summer solstice focuses on astronomical summer. This begins June 20th through the 22nd each year when the sun reaches the northernmost point of the sky. While most people say the summer solstice is the longest day in the year, but there are 24 hours in a day regardless of the time of year. Yes, we know that. The longest day moniker actually refers to the number of daylight hours. Because the sun is at its highest point, it takes longer to rise and set, granting more light. While many unanswered questions remain about Stonehenge, the famous large circular stone monument located on Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire, England, one fact is certain: its creation was meant to line up with the sun during solstices. You also have Manhattanhenge, too. That happens a lot, too. In the summer, it's breathtaking to see the sun rising behind the heel stone, causing its rays to pour into the center of the structure, releasing a portal to hell, and that's when Natas comes out, and then we're all fucked. No matter where you're located, you can celebrate the day and watch the festivities at Stonehenge. English Heritage, the organization manages the popular tourist attraction, will live stream the summer solstice festivities beginning at June 20th at British Standard Time, 2000. Sometime tonight. So if you want to see it, if you want to see Stonehenge tonight, that'd be cool. See the stream will start the following day at 4 Greenwich Mean Time, and sunrise takes place at 4:52 Greenwich Mean Time. And finally, today, loose chicken rescued from Buffalo Wild Wings in Iowa. See, I know there are some brave people in the world, but I didn't know there was brave chickens because I thought the whole thing calling somebody chicken was that they meant they were scared. But no, we have a loose chicken rescued from Buffalo Wild Wings in Iowa. There's the chicken here. This place like, I'm going to free my brethren. Animal rescuers were called to a Buffalo Wild Wings eatery in Iowa to wrangle an unusual visitor, a live chicken. He was sporting a shotgun, and he was smoking a cigar, saying, all right, which one of you motherfuckers wants to go meet your maker first? The Animal Rescue League of Iowa shared a photo on social media showing a chicken at the front door of the Buffalo Wild Wings on Southeast 14th in Des Moines. There he is right there, just kind of hanging out. What the cluck, officials wrote, talk about a chicken on the wrong side of the road. And talking about an official on the wrong side of comedy. The poor, confused hen was collected by an ARL Animal Services officer. Interested in adding to your flock. While this hen isn't currently available for adoption, we have many others who are. So if you want live chickens, go to Iowa. I still say he was trying to break in and save his friends, but by that point, if you're already at Buffalo Wild Wings, you're already probably pre-cooked and battered and all that stuff. Okay, I've taken up enough of your time. Like I said, all the fun folks coming up later today. We'll be back for Secret Show tomorrow. If you want to donate to the show, we got the links down below if you want to do Cash App or any of those other things. We also got Patreon. Miss Stephanie is our newest Patreon member. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Appreciate you and all our Patreons. And and we're trying to shout out all the people that do donate to the show, because we really do love and appreciate you guys, not just for the donations, but for watching the show, maybe telling friends about it. And if you could, just tell two of your normie friends outside the space about this show. And if they want to watch it, that'd be great. We're here for everybody. So love each and every one of you. Like I said, we'll see you tomorrow night for Secret Show. Check out all our friends here. Make sure you're sharing, and subscribing to their programs. They're doing good work. They're not trying to grift you or make you feel guilty about buying some bullshit coffee or something like that. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace. Smell you later.
This is City Alpha 5! Woo!
Soon.